I'm Jeff Hans. Bill Thorpe's out. Deep and Lily are in. This is going to be a fascinating hour conversation, one that only the good Lord has put together, which I appreciate. Deep Singh Badhesha co-hosting with me today, filling in for Bill Thorpe. We continuing the right-left-center debate aspect of this program. Deep, a member of the Democratic Socialists of America. And then I got a call from Lily Tang Williams, who messaged me and said, hey, I'm back in town. I said, wow. I can have an hour-long conversation with someone who has survived communism, is passionately against socialism and the impact it does in our country, with a member of the Democrat Socialists of America. We're all together. It's a holiday miracle, and we're going to get along just fine, but it's going to be a fun, feisty conversation. You're not going to want to miss it. Now is time, though, for the news.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, news and comment.
Hey, good Tuesday morning, 44 and partly cloudy in Denver, expecting a high of 65 today. News sponsored by Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning at 303-777-1234 to learn more about special savings opportunities on Lennox equipment. Our top story, the economy is growing faster than expected. New government numbers released today show
Santa
the U.S. growth.
Trump is coming to town.
Santa Trump. That's great news. The gross domestic product grew by 4.3%. That is Santa coming to town here right before Christmas. Between July and September, that was when these numbers were collected. Analysts had expected a gain of 3.2%. All right, millions are hitting the road with Christmas Eve tomorrow. This traveler says leave early. Good idea if you're headed to DIA.
Traffic was starting to get heavy, so I would plan to leave a little bit earlier than usual, and also going through TSA is always kind of a choke point.
According to AAA's projections, over 122 million are expected to travel during the holidays. Overnight, the Department of Justice made more than 11,000 files available in its latest release of the Epstein files, including court records, emails, videos, and news clippings. The DOJ said that some of these documents contain untrue and sensationalist claims made against 47 that were submitted to the FBI right before the 2020 election.
At the direction of Secretary.
Yeah, that was the wrong one. Maybe I don't even have that one, actually. Okay. At least 5, I'm in Christmas mode right now. I'm checking out. At least 5 people died after a Mexican Navy plane crashed near Galveston on Monday. The plane was carrying a burn patient. This is incredible. Wow. Who was among those killed. The aircraft took off in Mexico, had the doctor and the burn patient, and crashed into Galveston Bay after 3 o'clock local time yesterday afternoon. 2 people actually survived the crash while another is missing and presumed dead. All right, Denver City Council, they're going to pump up to $70 million into a project to build a stadium for the new National Women's Soccer League team. Councilwoman,
hold on. I
have to play this.
Yeah, please
let me play this,
and then we'll get into this.
I want you to go ahead here, but this is Councilwoman Amanda Sawyer. She voted yes, saying this was an important milestone for women and girls, especially her daughters.
I'm not going to look them in the mirror tomorrow and say, I voted no on this. I'm not. And so I want to say thank you to everyone who was involved. I will be an absolutely ecstatic yes.
God forbid, no.
Golly.
Don't look at her daughters and say,
right.
I voted no.
How about you look at your daughters
goodness.
and you talk about the tax dollars that you robbed from other families in order to pay for this? Okay, so
Yes.
I need a minute here, okay?
Go.
Because
I can't wait.
the Denver Broncos Stadium is going to cost $2 billion, and it's not going to take a dime from Denver to do so. Yet
Which it shouldn't.
Exactly. Yet this women's soccer stadium, because we all want to feel better about female oppression or something,
Exactly.
is going to cost how much? How much was it? What, did you say
70. Well, that's
70
just,
million?
I think that's for the land, right? Is that?
Golly.
Yeah, up to 70 million. Yeah. I mean, it's called supply, demand, in the free market.
Exactly. There's a marketplace out there. Nobody wants to go watch these soccer games, so nobody wants to pay for it. There's no businesses, so you're going to force taxpayers at the point of a gun to go pay for it so you can look at your daughters in the eyes and feel a little better about yourself.
Right.
This is why
unbelievable.
socialism drives me crazy. Sorry, Deep.
Yep.
But for all of the happiness and butterflies and rainbows, we're going to go steal hardworking people's money so that a female soccer team can get a...
I think this is like a fascinating thing that's been happening where you see actually Republicans and conservatives, they've started to get mad at private equity and they've started to get mad at corporations.
$70 million is not private equity taxes.
I'm just saying they're only mad at... when taxpayer money is subsidizing them when it's the woke agenda. But corporations are just trying to maximize profit, right? And if they can maximize profits through wokeness, they're going to do it that way. So, at the end of the day, I think you're on my boat where we should be like, hey, corporations, you don't have to maximize profit at all costs.
But what does that have to do with taxpayers paying for a stadium?
I agree. I mean, you're not going to convince me of this.
That we shouldn't be spending $70 million of Denver taxpayer dollars on a female soccer stadium?
I'm not familiar with it. Well, the vote was 12-1. Blake, do you know who voted no on it?
The 3 people voted no. I do not have their names, but the interest from the 2017 Elevate bond, the interest from that, they felt like it should be going to other projects like housing. Imagine that.
Play the audio again real quick, though. The lawmaker that's just so happy about
Amanda
her.
Sawyer.
Yes.
I could not
now
look
I
my
just lost it.
daughters in the eye.
It's incredible because, we talk about this all the time. I mean, look, hey, great. If women saw, I don't have the soundbite. Sorry. I just, I lost it.
No, it's fine.
If women's soccer is so popular and that stadium is going to be packed and they're going to be turning away people and they're going to be making money off TV contracts, all that, hey, that's great. But that's not going to happen. Okay? You can have your professional women's soccer team out where the Rapids play. I mean, or whatever. You can figure out. But my goodness, to do this to the taxpayer and the city with bridges falling. I know the infrastructure around there will be improved, but wow.
I agree. I don't think we should have taxpayer money go to corporations.
All right. Yeah. Okay.
Well,
there you go.
hey,
or to the
there we
building
go.
of women's soccer.
I'm not
Okay.
actually as familiar with the Denver soccer stadium or the soccer stadium for the women's league, or if that $70 million.
Here's who
comes
voted
back.
against it: Sarah Paraday, Chantel Lewis, and Stacey Gilmore.
Chantel Lewis.
It was.
Yeah.
They are betrayal to their own sex by not supporting that.
Sarah Parody and Chantel Lewis were endorsed by the Democratic Socialists of America when they were in city council.
Whoa!
Throwing that out there.
Deep bringing the receipts.
Now here,
I do think I'm excited for. We're a member of the 5280 Club. That's like the FC fan club for it, and we're gonna buy opening game tickets. So it's gonna be very exciting. I'm excited to have it.
You and your spouse are.
Yes.
But see, I'm not, and now I feel envious, and I would like you to spread the wealth around.
Maybe
Yeah.
we should have located it in Douglas County. I bet Douglas County voters would.
what draws you to it? Is it? I mean, what What's the greatest thing about it?
I'm a big live sports guy, but I'm like a hype guy, right? Like I like to go to a stadium. I like to go to like a concert. I like to like have people cheering and the hype and that.
Yeah.
And it seems like this is going to be a place where
Regardless
people
of
get
the
hyped.
sport, you just love the energy.
Oh, I just love it. I'm excited for the World
Like
Cup.
a turning point
Donald
event.
Trump's going to ruin the World Cup, but I'm excited for it.
Like a turning point
You know
event
what,
when Nicki Minaj comes out.
Exactly.
Boom, ba-dum, boom, boom, ba-dum, boom.
No, I hear you. See, I've often wanted. Here's my dream. Okay, a private, a really wealthy private donor gives me $100 million to build just a high school football stadium. Okay, and then we can have women's and girls flag football play in there when we're not playing tackle football in there. And just a private, so if there's a private donor out there, I'd like to do that. And it would be, maybe 18 to 20,000 seats, probably not even that big. And I think it would be huge. I think it would be extremely popular. I think it'd be bigger than the women's, professional soccer league. But hey, maybe not. Maybe I'm just not in touch, But, all right. So there you have it. Hey, you guys have a Merry Christmas. I will not be here until next week. And Deep, thanks for coming in.
Blake,
thanks for having us, Blake.
Merry
Appreciate
Christmas.
it.
Thank you, brother.
You too. 41 in, let's see, what do we got? Thornton. 42 at Aurora, 44 in Denver. You're waking up with Jeff and Billy, and Deep is in, and Lily is in, and Jeff is going to take it away. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Other than some windy areas, and there will be plenty of wind along the Front Range and foothills and mountains over the next couple of days, we're going to be looking at mild, dry weather as all the significant weather stays to the north and east of us. Partly cloudy, windy at times, upper 50s and low 60s, low to mid 30s tonight. Mid to upper 50s Wednesday, near 40 Wednesday night. Temperatures will be 50s and 60s Thursday, trending a bit cooler for Friday and into the weekend, but the real cold stays away. Meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Billy out today. He'll be out for a few weeks, enjoying some much-deserved vacation time with his family. He'll be back on the 5th. I'll be back on the 5th as well. By the way, tomorrow, Hugo Chavez-Ray co-hosting with me, Hispanic Patriot Podcast. Today, Deep Singh Badhesha, Democrat Socialist of America, live in studio co-hosting. And joining us is Lily Tang Williams. You may have known her from her time in Colorado. She was a well-known libertarian. She was also registered Republican. She moved to New Hampshire and ran for office there. It was the Republican nominee for Congress, but she's got a fascinating history. Lily, share us some of your background, where you came from in China, what you battled there. Just give us a brief background.
Well, thanks for having me. It's nice to meet you, Deep. And we lived in Colorado for 21 years before moved to New Hampshire. And I came to the studio actually multiple times with Peter Boyle back then. So I feel like I really care about Colorado. It's like my second home state. I was born in People's Republic of China. I grew up under Mao. So during his Cultural Revolution from 1966 to 1976, I was 2 years old. And when he died, the Cultural Revolution ended. I was 12 years old. So entire time, I really did not know any truth. I was totally brainwashed. I thought he was like a god because we had to chant every day in school to say, long live Chiang Mao, long live Communist Party, 10,000 years, double 10,000 years. I never asked questions. Is he human or he's God? So I just really thought he was just will never die, right? When he died, I started to ask questions. So like, how did he die? Who lied to me and my entire generation? I was totally depressed, lost, and I decided I'm going to search for truth. I still had some brain left, and the college reopened. So I said that I'm going to. My parents are literally like a working class and bottom of the food chain, and we lived in poverty and food rationing. So when I said I want to go to college, Mom, Dad, they said, well, you better work hard. And I got a good memory. So with illiterate parents, I worked very hard to pass the nationalized college exam when I was 17. I prepared for that test for 2 years in high school. So I made it 1981. I made it to Shanghai Fudan University, one of the top 5 Chinese university to study law. People say that, hey, with your personality, you should start journalism. I said, no. I said, I want to transform my country into rule of law instead of rule of man. Like, because I know what Mao did, right? And because party come out to say Mao was not God, he was human being. He made a terrible mistakes. And 10 years Cultural Revolution was a mistake. 20 million people died. It was all cultural. It was all chaotic and social chaos, and also the political violence. So identity politics, he separated Chinese people into 10 classes, 5 red and 5 black. So when the red class, like me, poor children hate the another side, we're fighting each other, and that's when the 20 million people got killed because of identity politics. So I went to law school in 1981 and stayed in Shanghai until 1985. And by the time I graduated, and I discovered I could not be free. I could not achieve my dream of changing China because it's one-party dictatorship. Working class actually, like me, like my parents, were looked down on. We had no power, we had no connections, and then looked down on us like animals. So I said, I got to get out of China. So that's when I started to plan my escape, I would say, and I made it 1988.
Well, tell us about the escape.
Well, the escape is that back then, when, say, lots of people don't understand China in this country. One-party dictatorship, they not just own everything, but they own you. So in order to leave China, I had to get my Communist Party boss in my law school department to give permission. In order to butter him up, I had to participate political studies weekly, continue to say Kumbaya, I support the party. And remember, Chinese people have no voting rights. It's one party, so every leader is appointed, but they have so much power over you and over your self-ownership. So I had to butter him up and go to meetings, say Kumbaya, then ask him like for a favor. I want to come to the United States to study, to get a graduate degree. May I ask you to sign off on that? And he put me on watch list to say, you got to prove yourself. So I proved myself to be politically active, to basically comply to everything that the law school party wants you to say, wants you to do. Then he said, okay, you can go, but you still have to sign an agreement to promise to come back after your graduate degree.
And during that time, were you lying? Were you falsifying? Did you believe that the communism was wrong, or were you committed communist?
Something really happened in my life. I need to talk about it before I decide to escape China. College student, 3rd year, I met an American student. He said, I met him at a party because China opened up in the 80s. It was like a cultural renaissance. We're going to party, we're going to dance in disco. And this American student who said, Lily, I want to show you something from America. Come to my dormitory. So I went to his dormitory. Back then, foreign students and scholars are living in separate buildings. In order to visit them, I had to sign a piece of paper. They had the guards at the building to say, who are you going to see, what I'm going to talk about, time in, time out. So I signed off to go see him. Guess what he showed me? He gets something out of his room, a pocket constitution. He read to me the first paragraph of the Declaration of Independence. We all know that we hold this truth to be self-evident. And it's the first time in my life I heard the concept of individual rights and liberty. And my light bulb came on, never turned off. So I said, I don't understand. My English was not good. He said, Lily, it doesn't matter. You were born poor. You are Chinese. You are a girl. You have rights come from your creator, God, not from government. So your government should not take your rights away. My light bulb come on, never turn off. So after that, I said, this is such a cool country. I went back one more time, refused to register at the gate. And because I know I'm talking about something, they forbidden us to discuss. So I only learned collective rights, never individual rights. So next time I go there, I just basically slick in when the lady goes to bathroom or go get hot tea, water, and I tap in and get out, and I knew it's like I'm doing something illegal because I'm talking about something that is not politically correct.
You're doing something illegal by talking about individual rights. That's wild. So you come to America and you embrace libertarianism. You go on,
that's a long story.
Yeah.
I come to this country. I was not political for 20 years.
Yeah.
I come here with $100 in my pocket, borrowed. Could not speak English. I owe my professors, sponsor, $1,200. So I had to learn English. I had to figure out how to pay the bills. And God is good, though. I met my husband the first night in Austin, Texas. And I got a job as a research assistantship in my graduate school. For $500 a month, I could pay all my expenses by being very frugal. And my husband taught me lots of English. And I've managed to get my graduate degree. And of course, 1989 happened, the second year when I come to this country. So we got all the Chinese students here in this country got a political refugee status. And but that's why I tell my husband, hey, I didn't have to marry you. I could stay in this country. It's not like a movie green card or something.
So I want to ask you guys this because I find this a little fascinating. Deep, you go at one point from libertarianism to now embracing socialism. You go from communism to embracing libertarianism. Talk a little bit about why, Deep Singh Badhesha, you went from libertarianism to socialism. What was the appeal there? Then I'll get your response, Lily.
Well, I grew up in like more of a conservative family in some ways. I grew up in Colorado Springs, Colorado, which is like, the evangelical Vatican people. It's like a very libertarian conservative place. So like my mom originally supported Clinton, then she supported Bush. And kind of growing up in that atmosphere, I think a lot of people around us were Republicans. So, we're like, oh, yeah, Republicans are fine. A lot of military families in Colorado Springs. And then I think with the Iraq war, with where the economy was going, with the housing crisis, you kind of saw that Republicans weren't going the right way. So I ended up becoming more Democratic and supporting Barack Obama. But then Barack Obama, when he gets elected with this huge progressive thing and all these promises of hope and change, I was very excited by that. But because he kind of went in there and bailed out the banks, libertarianism was having like this heyday. And I was like looking around. I saw people like Nikki Haley and Bobby Jindal. I had read Atlas Shrugged. I had read The Fountainhead. And so I'm like, oh, libertarianism kind of makes sense, right? Like, let these banks fail and let me have freedom. And this is when a lot of people in Colorado are talking about smoking weed and the war on drugs and all that kind of stuff. So became more libertarian. And then I just kept reading, which made me much more like pragmatist, made me much more progressive, made me a lot more of that. And then became a Democratic Socialist around 2018 when, after Bernie Sanders, AOC, kind of found this group of people who are advocating for a society in which you don't have to live to work, but in a place where you can work and live in a society and enjoy your life. So that's kind of like my trajectory, how I ended there. But I grew up in parents owned a small business, small mom and pop liquor store.
Yeah, I find it interesting because you brought up the bank bailout too, that took you from a Republican to a Libertarian. But then you are committed to limited government, whereas he's embracing government. Well, I guess, Lily, why do you think Deep's wrong in his, not necessarily his critique, because you guys both seem to have the same critique of the bank bailout? Like, you guys both brought that up.
Yeah.
But Lily, you you have real serious reservations about what government does.
Well, that when I actually come to this country, I just thought I came here live under freedom and constitutional rights protections, equal justice for all. I wasn't political. When I become a citizen, I did the research on both major parties' platform. I told my husband, Libertarian Party is third party is small. You're not relevant. So I become Republican for 13 years. I went to their meetings. I got involved in elections, and so when the bank got a bailout, when Patriot Act passed, and the citizens' privacy were at risk, and so a whole bunch of the bills passed. I feel like I thought I joined Republican Party for small, limited government, but they expanded the government, and of course the war, all that. I was very
Patriot
upset.
Act.
Yeah, Patriot. Yeah, I was very upset, and so I left. So after 13 years being a Republican as a new American citizen, I left. Yeah. But when I left, I joined I just went to some meetings with libertarians. I saw, oh, those are freedom-loving people. They were former Republicans. So then they recruited me to run for them and to get involved. And so I said, well, I barely speak good English. They said, it doesn't matter. Just be line holder. You don't have to do anything. Actually, when I go out, tell my stories why I come to this country, people give me big hands. They see somebody who's living American dream, overcome poverty, obstacles to live under freedom. They like my story. I feel like I enjoy campaigning with people, connections, have a conversation. I went to college campuses many times. I went to 5 colleges when I was running for U.S. Senate in Colorado. Kids loved me. I met with lots of Bernie Sanders supporters, and I persuade them with my stories actually to vote for me in the general election.
Lily, I want to ask you this. Why does Deep get it wrong? And why do the socialists, not just Deep, but the socialists of America, the Bernie Sanders, the AOC, where are they wrong?
Where they're wrong is that I think we all see the same problems, but their tool is still a even bigger government, because when you put so much hope on the elected politicians who actually always want to get the people to vote for them, and they were promised all the free stuff that the people want to have. It all sounds good. Like Mao promised peasants in China, I will give you free land. He killed 2 million landlords, and he took over all the industries, so no more private ownership, and free school, free health care. Guess I lived under it. There's the only difference is that people like Deep, they, we can have a conversation, but the only issue is that I lived it. I know it will not work because we put too much faith and belief in politicians, but they are not gods. They like power. That's why people get a betrayal feeling when they go to, I elect you to represent me, but you go to D.C., represent the corporations, special interests, and billionaires, and throw you under the bus. Then they get upset. But I said, I told you, you cannot trust politicians. You need to trust a system yourself to be ground up. I am a grassroots candidate. I always tell people, at least I will never sell out. I will never lie to you. But we might disagree on certain policies. But I'm willing to have conversations.
So,
are you putting too much trust in government?
So, this is the conversation we've been having all morning, right? Yeah. Where it's like this idea is like, I don't want an all-invasive government that takes over everything, that controls you from cradle to coffin, right? Like, there needs to be a government that's responsive to the working class, because what's happening right now is, and you saw this earlier in American history, right? What's happening now is corporations and monopolies are so large that they're actually the driving force of our society and culture in ways that government is not in any way, shape, or form. And this has happened before the turn of the century, right? When you had Standard Oil and you had these huge trusts. And at that time, it was the Republican Party, right? It was Teddy Roosevelt and the progressives era at that time that came in, broke up the companies and said, hey, you can't be controlling every single means of production, all the things that are happening here. Me being a democratic socialist means I want people to have the freedom to quit their job and not lose their health care, right? to be able to have an American dream where you can afford a house, where you can afford education, where you can pull yourself up by their bootstraps, right? So, and I hear, just to build on what Lily said, she was saying, like, you know, a lot of people are so fed up and tired of like corrupt politicians, and that's another thing that we've been thinking about, right? And like Blake said it too, like the uniparty, right? Where it's like, this corporate interests, whether they're buying Republicans or they're buying Democrats, they're the ones who ultimately get to say it, right? They're the ones who are writing the bills. They're the ones who are writing the thing. And we're not actually able to have this dialogue, right? You're not able to actually go in there and be like, hey, you have a difference of opinion, I have a difference of opinion. Let's hash this out. We represent people. Instead, what happens is like, hey, you were bought by this corporation, I was bought by this corporation. Let's have our corporations merge. Right? Like, I mean, what kind of benefit of a government are we doing there? And I will say this is fascinating. I would love to hear your take on it. So it sounds like we became libertarians, but the same kind of reaction to the Patriot Act, bail out the banks and stuff. But now, when I look at the current Republican Party, they make Bush look like a freedom-loving Democrat, right? It's like you have masked officers in the street who are arresting people that look like you and me because, you know, we have accents or we look brown. They're arresting people and deporting them without due process. You have Trump essentially getting gifts from companies and saying, hey, you can have your merger. He's taking comedians off the air. And then you have folks like Palantir that are invading all of our cell phones and tapping into the phones. So I feel like as a former libertarian, how can you still be a Republican with people invading so many of the personal rights they have?
Well, I think the people voted to secure our border. I don't know what the Democrat socialists said during Biden years when we just open our border, let like 10, 20 million illegals come in. I can tell you what Bernie Sanders said. And the thing is, see, for example, on this issue, I'm very strongly for legal immigration. I'm against the open border policies. That's kind of maybe different from even other libertarians. I'm more like a conservative. I'm more conservative when I get older now because I see the bad, consequences of bad border policies. See, my brother waited 13 years in China to come here legally with MIPI sponsorship, and he and his wife still work at a Walmart, and they worked through entire pandemic, no loans from PPE, and had to subject all the mandates. And then they're still not citizens because they're still studying English. So it's not fair to open the border, which is a humanitarian crisis anyway, because you get kids, women be trafficked. And they come here illegally, then in lots of blue states, sanctuary cities, they get on government benefits without contributing anything. And then they may get a quicker pass even to legal status. It's the wrong messages to send to the people in the world. So I support deportations. I support they offer more self-deportation incentives to say, hey, if you come here legally, go back home, and we will help you to go home safely and come back here legally. And when we talk about affordability, when we talk about financial resources limited, drained by lots of illegals, it's actually not to put American citizens first, not to put the working class poor people first, because they don't have housing, they don't have affordable, apartments, healthcare, childcare, because our money go to other places. So that's kind of quite contrary to what the socialists want. We want to help working people, but you are draining financial resources by spending on illegals, like Denver illegals, right? Yeah. And they're going to raise taxes for that.
That's Lily Tang Williams live in studio. She's a libertarian, conservatarian, also Deep Singh Badhesha, Democrat, Socialists of America. We do need to get to a break, guys. This is a fascinating conversation. Cap Hill Phil texting in. I'm really enjoying this conversation. We'll get to some of these questions as well as phone calls. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Happy Festivus!
How many minutes break do you have?
This will be 5 minutes.
5 minutes break, and
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Billy out till January, enjoying some vacation time. Co-hosting with me today, Deep Singh Badhesha, Democrat Socialists of America, and we've got Lily Tang Williams, a refugee from communist China, live in studio with us. So you guys both during that last segment equally identified problems, that we have corrupt politicians. Okay. But Lily, you came from communist China. You know the problems that government, when they have more power, brings. You're arguing less government, Deep arguing, no, socialist government solves those problems. Why, Lily, why is government the problem?
Well, because they have a power to lock you up and to murder you and to take away your rights. And that's why I'm afraid of unlimited government power. And when socialism sounds good, I agree, it sounds like utopian, workers' rights and all that. But the thing is, the human beings are flawed. They like power. They like enriching themselves. So when you want the government to have more power to regulate the economy, to be providers, savers to your problems, you actually give politicians more power. That's why I joined Republicans. And later, when they left me, I become a Libertarian because I want the government to leave me alone. This is a great country. I come here with nothing. I am running for Congress. I have financial freedom. If I want to retire completely, I can afford to, because this is exceptional country, which is a constitutional republic. The solution is for people, especially our younger people, to know the history, to become educated what systems worked in the past, what did not work. And if you know the history, then you will actually rely on the people's power. Real people's power is hold politicians accountable, reduce their power.
Go ahead.
I have a hard time imagining you're a Republican and you're asking for like a less corrupt government and all the problems with it when we're living in the most corrupt government of all time, right? Like Donald Trump lines up billionaires. He lines up other countries. They literally line up. They bring him gifts. And based on the gifts and how much he likes you, your company's merger
but
goes through.
Aren't you
right?
kind of affirming what she's saying, though? That politicians, the problem is government.
Listen, Lily's running as a Republican candidate for Congress, right? And it's not like you're running for Thomas Massey's Republican Party, right? You're running for Donald Trump's Republican Party, in which dear leader Donald Trump has all the answers. And if he wants 10% of an ownership of a company, he gets it, right? If Donald Trump wants a comedian fired from TV, he gets it. If he wants a merger to go through, he gets it. So wouldn't you want
smaller government? Wouldn't you want limited government? Like, you're using almost Donald Trump to prove her point.
I am. The thing is, like,
you have TDS. You have TDS.
I keep saying this thing. Is I don't want just a larger government for the sake of having a large government, right?
Did you say anything about Biden when he was corrupted with his son?
Trust me.
His son, Hunter Biden, left top stories?
You should look at my X account. I criticized Kamala Harris.
Hillary Clinton? Oh, my goodness.
Me and Hillary Clinton go way back, of course.
I know we have these personalities.
I'm not a supporter of Hillary Clinton or Joe Biden or Kamala Harris.
But your message is still more government. Even Bernie Sanders, AOC are corrupt because they are rich. They do inside trading.
Everybody's rich. I'm sure you're rich.
But I did all by myself.
I mean,
well, how did they do? How did they become rich? By going to Congress and doing insider trading.
We should pass Ro Khanna's bill. We should pass Ro Khanna's bill that would stop insider trading. Right. That's a bill that almost all Democrats support and Republicans don't. Right, we should pass gerrymandering. We should pass gerrymandering reform that all the Democrats support, the Republicans don't. Right, there's a whole list of issues that we could do for a better democracy. Right, and the thing is, like, if you are just going to have a larger and more corrupt government, that's not what I want. Right, hands off. That's not what I want. I want to have a more unionized economy where workers are less exploited, right? I think Amazon needs a union. Walmart needs a union. Starbucks needs a union, right? I am looking for an economy that puts people above profits. And that's, China, again, I'm sorry to hear about your experience. It sounded like it was very tough. But China also lifted 800 million people out of poverty
But
over the last
to counter
century.
you that, it's the Chinese people, hard work ethics, lift themselves out of poverty after the central government decentralize their economical control. They allow people to start their own business. My first experience is a neighbor who was poor, working for government factory all his life. When they lifted the regulation to say, okay, you can quit to start your own business, he started his own restaurant. He became first one in my poor neighborhood, rich. Bought a motorcycle. When I went to college at the age of 17, he is the only one were able to give me a gift. The thing is, you have to know the cause of poverty. In China, cause of poverty is government.
Let me walk you
In
through how
United
a small
States,
restaurant
caused
in
by government.
Denver gets squeezed, right? Like a small restaurant in Denver, the way they get squeezed is not through the government.
Oh,
it's through
the
massive
minimum
corporations. Let's talk
wages.
about this.
It's minimum wage laws.
So here's the thing. Private equity buys your land. And then private equity gobbles up a lot of the food distributors. Now you only have one or food distributors. So the food distributors, you can only buy your food from, you can only get corn from here or here. They jack up the prices on one end. Then the landlord jacks up your prices on the other end, right? And you end up, you probably actually have an easier time opening up a small business in China than you do here because we don't have monopolistic
That's
control.
not true. That's not true. Chinese business people have to bribe or not. Here's number one statement that government can lock you up and they can put you in jail. They can kill you. Corporations are driving by profits.
I got a question. Do you believe in nuclear energy? Do you believe in nuclear energy?
You don't have to buy anything
Do you believe
from Apple, from billionaires. If you don't want to, you walk with your money. That's a free market capitalism.
I wish we had free market in America that we could have those Chinese phones. Have you seen the Huawei phones?
Yeah, I have heard about it. All right, we're up against the break, guys.
They took away our TikTok, right? Trump's government took away our TikTok. They sold it to Oracle, and now Oracle is going to feed us all the things they want from that. Wait, real quick. I had to ask you a question.
We're
about
up against a break, though. Okay.
2 questions. Nuclear energy in trains.
We'll come back.
All right, we'll come back.
Why can't America build them, but China can?
All right, we'll get to that. That'll be the question coming up. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Man, this has been a fascinating conversation. I wish we had more time. You all are both great. Deep Singh Badhesha, Democrat Socialists of America. Lily Tang Williams, Republican out of New Hampshire, in studio. You asked her some questions about trains and nuclear power. Lily, your response to why in America we can't build trains and nuclear power. Well, in China they can.
Well, regulations. That's what Trump is actually good at, is cut regulations, okay? And I wish that Deep and his peers will go to get a different source of information. The regulation under Biden in environmental climate change is
But wait,
very,
why
very
can
big.
China build when we can't?
You know, I just told you that Deep, China can build everything very fast. They also kill people very fast because they have one-party dictatorship. There's no bureaucracy. There's no argument, debate. There's no voting. They decide to do something as a government, they do it immediately. There's no democratic process. That's why they can't make their people starving. They go to spend billions trainings overseas. And I'm on their death list. I can't even go to China to visit my family for past 10 years. We don't want Huawei, all those state enterprise coming here because it's a security risk. They will track us and they will want to take over the United States as #1 power.
Deep, thank you so much. Lily, thank you. Deep, your podcast, people want to listen to you more?
Yeah, tune in if you want. You can follow us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all that. But it's called Left in the Attic. You guys go leftintheattic.com.
Yeah, and Lily, how can people connect with you and your campaigns in New Hampshire?
LilyTangWilliams.com. That's my website. I am grassroots. I need the people like my messages, support me by making donations. December 31st is deadline. My opponent has 3 times more cash.
And are you running for Congress again in 26?
Yes.
You're running, yeah, that's right.
I'm running again, and it's the poll number recently showing that we are almost tied, but she has lots of money, so I need
incredible experience from Lily. She's lived communist China. She's now a freedom fighter here in America. Deep, thank you so much, Lily. Thank you. There's no other show like this in Colorado where the debate is going to happen. So
Happy Festivus.
There you go. Happy Festivus. You've been listening to the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710, KNUS.